Yes, hello, welcome, Dilly again. And hang
Hello.
on. Hello, oops, let me just rearrange my gallery so I can see you all. Okay, welcome. So Marco, Dilly, Julian, Barry, Madeleine, Lucy, Anne, Srinamala, and Chris. Very good. Thank you. Yep, and Palden. Just wait for Sanyu to join us. Yes, hello again, Sanyu. So I've just been concerned, Sanyu. Have I pronouncing your name right? Is it an U, Sanyan Yu?
Sa- y- Sanyu. Yes.
So say again,
Sanyu.
Sanyut,
You. Yes.
Sanyu.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So have I been getting it more or less right? Okay, thank you, Sanyu. Good. Here we go then. Um, we are we are back to the eve of battle in the Bhagavad Gita. Some of you may know why it's a good day, an auspicious day for battles. Come 18th of June, 1815, Battle of Waterloo. Sunday, the 18th of June, 1815. Right. Not sure that anybody at the Battle of Waterloo had quite the same moral scruples as Arjuna, but let us transport ourselves back. Let us transport ourselves back. So let me just share screen. Share. Just readjusting the gallery. Here we are. So last time round we'd got, I think, halfway through the first line. We completed the first pada. So karpanya dosho pahata swabhava, with my nature all beaten up, upahata, with this vice or fault or defect of this pitiableness. Bit of a crude translation, but hopefully that gives a flavor of the Sanskrit. Prichami tvam. I I beg you, I pray to you, dharma samudhachetaha, with my chetas, with my mind, we can loosely translate, all confused, samudha, as to what I should be doing. So this word prichami, let me just share my iPad with you. Here we are. Can you all see the iPad now? Good, thank you. This root prich, meaning to ask, it's the same root that comes into Latin as prec. We have precare, and of course into modern Italian pregare. So grazie, prego. You say precciami, you would say prego, precciami. It's that same root. And then prier, prière in French. It came through our Germanic line. For example, we have in German fragen, means to ask. So precare, Latin, pregare, Italian, and then fragen in German are from that same root, prich. So prichami tuam, I ask you, I beg you, I pray to you, dharma samudhacheta, with my mind all confused as to what I should do. And let me call up the text. Here we are. Remember here, oops, what am I doing here? Why has that happened? Here we are. I click the button and up comes it's playing me up. It's deliberate. I'm trying to call up the text and this wretched thing just... Okay, now, you've got the Bhagavad Gita here. If I click on it, does it go away? Ah, it stays there that time. Good. I'm sure you've all got it by now, but remember that twam and twam. Twam is the nominative, second person singular, thou, and twam is the same, but the accusative. You remember that Hindu Brahmanical saying, Tat twam asi, that thou art, in the meaning, you are not different from the Parabrahman, you are not different from the ultimate universe. But this is twam, prichami twam, I beg you, dharma samudha chetaha. Now this word dharma, of course, within Buddhism, we all know it as the teaching, the Dharma. It comes from the root dri, meaning holding or firmness. And ultimately, it has something like the idea of the immutable moral law. Oops, let me open the Kath coming in. It's essentially it's the idea of firmness, and then that which is firm, immutable, solid, the moral law, the natural law, and then by extension it meant teaching. Among the welcome, Kath.
Hello.
Among that's okay, not to worry. We're talking about the meaning of dharma. Now, so we've just been discussing the meanings of the moral law, and then the Buddha's teaching. And as a suffix, it means just having the nature of something. Vyadhamma sankhara in Pali would be vyayadharma sanskara in Sanskrit. So vyaya in Pali, vaya means falling apart. And the Buddha's very last words in Pali, vyadhamma sankhara appamadena sampadeta. So the vyadhamma sankhara, vaya in Pali, vyaya in Sanskrit means falling apart. So if something is vyaya dharma, its dharma is to fall apart. Therefore, it is of the nature to fall apart. We are all of the nature to die. Is marana dharmaha, having the dharma of dying. I mean, it's the natural law of ourselves. Sabbe marana dharma. We are all of the nature to die. Within the Hindu kind of religious and social system, dharma also took on a specialized meaning. Your dharma was, so to speak, your personal duty, what you had to do in life as a result of how you were born. It's very much a Hindu concept, Brahmanical concept, rather than a Buddhist one. So if you were born into a certain caste or into a certain station in life, and this whole idea, modern idea of upwards mobility, no, it was your dharma. You were born there, therefore it was as a result of your karma. You were born into that station. As a result of that karma, you now have the dharma. Your dharma is your duty, what you have to do in life, the kind of life you have to lead. And it became something of a very deep religious significance for them. Arjuna was a warrior, and it was his duty to fight in this battle. It was his dharma to fight. So dharma, again, not in the sense of teaching, but his personal duty in life. Beyond a duty, his entire life, his dharma of his life was to be a warrior. So here his samudacheta, confused in mind, I'll explain that in a moment, as to his dharma, and dharma, confused mind. In other words, my mind is confused with regard to what my dharma is, what I should be doing at this point. Normally there would have been no doubt or confusion in his mind. Everything was pretty fairly clearly set out what your dharma in life is. Um, so he's confused about his dharma, his sacred duty, you might call it. Dharma samudachetaha. So where's my pen here? So the word, oops. So the root chit, from which we have the well-known word chitta, which in Buddhism is often translated as mind or heart mind. It is everything that is a combination of thoughts and emotions, the sense of self. The origin of that word, the original meaning in Vedic and pre-Vedic means brightness. And I think the imagery behind chit meaning brightness and then coming to mean mind, is that if you have pure body with no mind, it is just pure physical matter. Whereas it's consciousness that, as so to speak, brings light into it. And the chitta, note that the chitta is a past participle form, that to which light is given, but then has just come to mean our heart mind. Chetas is is essentially the same meaning as chitta. Chitta is a much more common form of the word. So chetas, this is one of these um, consonant stem endings like nam, namas, namaste, in Nepali namo, and man, mind or thinking, manas, the mind, chetas. So it's your power of thought and to power of thought and feeling. And samudha, oops, sorry, pen slightly misbehaving. Ah, to be flipping towards eraser and writing. That root mu, meaning delusion, and it's sorry, it's really playing up here. What's gone wrong with it? I just can't get it working. Sorry about that. Pencil is fully charged. Ah, working in the... From muh, we have the word moha. Here we have lobha in Sanskrit, lobha dvesha moha. In Pali, lobha dosa moha. They give them in that order, you know, greed, hatred, and delusion. Lobha dosa moha. So moha is the same in Sanskrit and Pali. Just means delusion. When you make a past participle from roots ending in a h, what commonly happens is this. Normally we would form our past participle mu plus ta. That would be the normal way. But it doesn't happen like that. What happens is the h, by internal sandhi, the h and the t join into a d. That's the retroflex d sound. And that often has the effect of lengthening the previous vowel as well. So mudha is in fact the past participial form of mu, and it means deluded. It often means confused, and the basic philosophical meaning in Buddhism of moha is delusion as a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of reality. For example, the sense of, you know, the fixed sense of I am permanent, I have this permanent soul, me. You see, that is regarded as a prime instance of moha. Whether the meaning is substantially changed by the prefix, by the addition here of the prefix some, it probably means, you know, all mixed up, all confused about it. So some mudha, all mixed up, completely confused as to what my dharma is. You will notice at the end of this line, chetaha, with a long a and visarga, chetaha. You will also notice that I have given, like that again, that is chetas, the short as, chetas as the neuter noun form. What happens is that chetas is a neuter noun, as in namas, manas, tejas, tapas, quite a number of them. When that neuter noun is at the end of a compound that makes an adjective. So chetas is a neuter noun meaning the mind. Samudha chetas means deluded mind, therefore, or confused mind means having a confused mind. It's now an adjective. So this it's no longer a neuter noun at the end, though it started like chetas started off as a neuter noun. Now it's the final member of a compound, so it's got to be treated like an adjective and will decline like an adjective and will have its gender like an adjective. It's just it's just a rule of Sanskrit. I'm afraid you'll just have to accept it with equanimity, that when neuter nouns ending in as form the final member of a compound, the masculine nominative singular form of it just happens to end in with a long, and then the S, of course, becoming visarga. So it's just I think this is kind of I think this phenomenon with the neuter nouns in us making an if they've forced into being masculine by being part of an adjective now, I think this is a unique occasion or unique type of occurrence in Sanskrit. But anyway, there it is. That explains it. And I think I may have done a note to you where to find it in Macdonnell. Yes, I have. I've actually, for those of you who want to delve a little bit further, I've made a reference to Macdonnell for us to in these circumstances. So Dharma sammudha cheta. So dharma confused-minded, with my mind all confused as to what my true duty is. Yat shreya syanishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. So bruhi means say, tell me. Bruhitan me would be bruhi tat me, but bruhitan me by Sandhi. Say that to me. Yet shreyasyan. What yet shreya syat. What better might be. What is the better course? Remember, shreya is the comparative form, so better, more fitting, of the noun and adjective Shri. So Shri, which is the same Shri, by the way, as Sri Lanka. It's that same word. The original meaning of Shri was, bright, and then by extension, glorious, and it's given as an auspicious name. So the name of the island originally was just Lanka, just Lanka. But to give a special sense of blessing to that auspicious island, it was Sri Lanka, glorious Lanka.
And translated into Tibetan as Palden, which is where my name comes from.
Palden, of course, yes, yeah. So yes, the Palden Nima, isn't it? Very good. So Sri Palden would be a tautology then, wouldn't it? So it makes a comparative, a bit of an irregular comparative. I've got the Shreyas. Yes, I've also made. Oh, I'm sorry. I've given you a reference to MacDonnell in the notes there for comparatives in ES. So just Shri, and sometimes it just means better, more fitting, nobler. Comparative Shreyas, that which is better. So yet Shreya Syat, what might be best? What is the best thing to do? Remember, oops, I've done something funny with the way I've set up the share screen. It keeps going wrong. Look, that was not my fault. I clicked on the text and it came back to shared screen. Oh, I mean, came back to iPad. I don't know what to do. Then how can I stop this happening? Tell me what I'm meant to do. You keep getting stuck on the iPad screen.
Maybe close the iPad and restart it, and it's maybe just got confused.
It has become very dharma sammudha.
Yes.
Okay, I might have just. Let me just close the iPad then. It's quick enough to restart. Now that's the screen sharing homepage. Let me try again now. No. There we are. Okay, there we are. In the parsing box down here, I should have parsed. I left the Sandhi in my message. Yet, I'm just correcting it there. I'm taking the Sandhi out. So that H should be there. gave me a bit of grief at an early stage when I saw this double ch where it shouldn't be, where words joined. It's simply where you get a word ending in a ta and the next word beginning in a sh. Then by regular sandhi, it becomes a double ch. So yat shreya becomes, as here, yat shreya. And here it is in the Devanagari without the sandhi, yat shreya, where I've highlighted, and here correctly written with sandhi, yat shreya. It's one of those things you've just got to learn. So yet, which here would exactly correspond with English what best might be, yet shreya syat, what best might be. Nishchitam bruhi tanme. So tadme or tadme becomes tanme by sandhi. Bruhi tanme, say that to me. Nishchitam bruhi. Nishchitam means to definitively, not a final ruling on it. And the let me just call up my note on it in the oops. So this is a note I've done on this word in the explanatory glossary. Oops. Away again. Come on, control. Did that. Oh, I know what I failed to do. It's from our root chi, meaning to heap up or to accumulate. And it makes the verbal noun chaya, like ni, naya, and so on. And we have, for example, Dhamma Vichaya. In Sanskrit would be Dharma Vichaya. So Chichaya or Uchaya means to heap up or to pile up. Vichaya, well, okay, I appreciate looking at Nishchaya here, but Vichaya with the separative prefix V is like pulling something apart, literally unheaping. If you have something that's put together and you take it apart, it's sometimes being called deconstructing. In fact, there was some of you may know him, Bhikkhu Bodhidhamma, an English monk, and in his teaching of mindfulness meditation, he always uses the word deconstructing, which is actually it's like unpacking something. For example, it's a very useful word. In fact, it's one of the factors of enlightenment, one of the bojjhanga, the Dhamma Vichaya. So the analysis, it's often termed, the analysis of states, of mental states. But there's a very strong imagery here. So you might say, look, I feel annoyed. I feel annoyed. Right, well, hang on. That's not enough. You might get stuck on the word. Go behind the word annoyed. Unpack it. Unpack the feeling. Analyze it bit by bit. What does it feel like? So you that's the vichaya. That is exactly a Dhamma vichaya. You are unpacking that state. Like you've got a machine. An engineer seeing a machine has never seen before. He would do a vichaya. He would take it to pieces to see exactly how it works, what all its functions are. So it's that we're doing on ourselves in the Dhamma vichaya. This nishchaya is the same kind of idea as vichaya, but so vichaya means deconstructing, pulling apart, analyzing, but nishchi has this broader the same idea. It's still the imagery of unheaping something, but it's more like untangling something. It's a big jumble. It's all kind of jumbled together. Kind of make sense of it, put it into order. So in fact, so the nishchaya, in fact, in modern Hindi, for example, the word nishchaya, which they pronounce nishchaya in Hindi, is that same word. It means a decision. But it's where you get a definite. Okay, we don't know what to do. Make a decision. That's the decision. So you are, unjumbling. What could go one way or could go the other. So Arjuna is saying, nishchitam bruhitan me. Say this to me in a nishchita way, so it kind of removes the confusion, removes this tangle. So nishchitam bruhitan me. So definitively, decisively, bruhitan me. Say that to me. Shishyas. I'll read it without Santifus. Shishyas te aham shadimam tuam prapannam. So te aham becomes te ham. Shishyasteham shadhimam tuam prapannam. I am your shishya. That's from the root shish and shash. You have, so the shish is the basic root, meaning to teach or to instruct. It makes a verbal noun shiksha, which means training or instructing. That's the iPad. See if we can get the iPad going quickly and obediently this time. There we are. So we have shas to teach, but in the Sanskrit literature, we have the shastras, shastrani, which are it's not the Vedas and the Upanishads. The shastras, the shastrani, are specifically, you might say, educational material, things to teach the students about the meaning. So that's the meaning of the Vedas and Upanishads. That's the shastrani. It's a slightly irregular root. It jiggles about a bit, so it makes shiksha means training, which in Pali becomes sikha. Many of you will know that from Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami, Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. That's the Sikkhapadam would mean the training words, therefore the training rule. You have a shishya, which means somebody who is to be trained, but the root shas can also mutate to shis. So shishya means somebody in training, shishya. So your pupil. As the centuries went on, we got a certain mutation. Very often, quite often happened in northern India, in Punjabi and Hindi. The sh sometimes became a k. So the shishya in Punjabi became a Sikh. So we know about the Sikhs with the ones with the turbans, the Sikhs of the Punjab. It's from that root. It means a trainee, a pupil, because they were in Punjabi. They also in Sanskrit the shishya, but in Punjabi they were the Sikh, the students, the pupils, the trainees of Guru Nanak. So that's how we come to know them as the Sikhs. So going back now to, let me just see if it'll let me call up my, good. So, shishyaste aham, shishyaste ham. So that's the exact same word that in modern Punjabi has become a Sikh. So I am your student. I am your pupil. So it means that I am accepting you as my master. Please, you tell me what I must do. So pupil, thine, I am. Shishyaste hum. Shadhimam. This is this is the imperative form. It's a class 2 verb. Class 2 verbs have a little bit of extra learning to do. It's not like bhavati imperative bhava. This is shas, a class 2 verb, makes its imperative by adding di to the root. So it will be shas di, but by internal sandhi the s drops. So that's how we get shadhi, imperative form of shas, meaning teach me. So shadimam twam prapannam. So teach, it takes an accusative, direct object accusative, teach me. Prapannam is a word here that Arjuna is using to describe himself as fallen forth or fallen down, meaning teach me who am fallen at your feet. So twam, the accusative, the literally fallen to thee. In other words, I've fallen at your feet, and prapannam is the accusative form to agree with Mam. I think it was Paladin last time who reminded me that I'd accidentally left it in the nominative in one of the. Was that right, Paladin?
I remember, sorry.
You can't remember correcting me, but I remember it very well. You rightly corrected me because in one of the versions I'd accidentally left it as prapanna rather than prapannam. But it's prapannam because it's the accusative to agree with twam.
While we're on accusatives, can I ask a question, James? Why is the Shreya?
Sorry?
In the line before, the Shreya.
Yes.
Why that ending for an accusative?
It is one of the new. It is a neuter ending in as.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. Not all words that end in as are kind of nominative, masculine nominatives. The vast majority of nouns that end in ah are kind of masculine nominatives, singular. But you get this group of words. It's the same as the word just a chetas that I was talking. Chetas, namas, tapas. A number of these words in nouns ending in as are neuter. And also there's this particular form of the comparative adjective which ends in ias. For example, garu, heavy, gariyas, heavier. And it makes a gariyan for the masculine, but gariyas for the neuter. But I've put as I said, I've put the reference to McDonnell paragraph 88 in the notes.
James, I have another question on prapanam. Is there pada in there, which means like as in foot, or is that in there in that word somehow?
It is there. It's there are some roots that have this kind of double meaning, and I don't know why they have to, but they do. It's because pad means, it mostly means to go, and from what we get our the word foot, and in Greece, to podi, pes pedis in Latin. Mostly it has that meaning, but it also has another meaning of to fall. So prana, that means fallen forth. It can also mean gone forth. it's one of those. Let me just call up the pad for you. Yeah, Williams.
James, could be also the different verb pat, to fly, to fall down.
Yeah, that's the past participle would be patita rather than panna. As far as I'm aware, when you get this, I don't think that panna. Let me just double check for you. So let me call up. Here's Moni Williams pad. So let me highlight off and do it again. Pad. There we are. So here we're seeing Moni Williams now dealing with pad is to fall or to go. And Marco rightly pointed out that we have pat, which can mean to. So pad, to fall or to go, pat means to fly or to fall. Sanskrit is so rich in its ability to create words, goodness knows why we have the pad meaning go or fall, and pat meaning fly or fall, but we just have to accept that it is. We have a prapata, something you fall over, mean a precipice, and we have the nipata in the sense of falling down, like a moral collapse. But I think I'm right in saying that the past participle panna is from pad only. I think I'm correct in saying fallen, so gone. Yes, so that is that for fallen and gone would mean is just from pad. So it's pad, panna, and patita. So this prapanna can mean gone forth. But call up Moni Williams before I stick my arrive, approach, poor, distressed. Okay. So Moni Williams would interpret here as approached or supplied. Oh, hang on, fallen at a person's feet. Okay, so it does. Whew, that's a relief. So pad here, you can construe that as fallen forth. In other words, I'm falling at your feet, or I am prapanna, just coming forth to you, approaching you. In the emotional context of this verse, I tend to construe it, and I'm throwing myself at your feet. Tell me what to do. I think that's what it might. I see from Marco's gestures that you agree with me, do you, there, Marco? It's like I've fallen at your feet. I'm throwing myself at your feet. But it could, say, be construed as just going to you, but that wouldn't have quite the same force. But just bear in mind that linguistically, purely linguistically, both interpretations are valid. As we know, as so very often happens in Sanskrit and Pali. So, Shadhimam Twam Prapannam, teach me who am fallen at your feet.
Okay, and sorry, just another question, if you have time, which is about
yes, please, Paula.
Swabhava. Obviously the root bu, etc. with to be, but what does the swa contribute?
Okay, swa means, as a prefix, swa means self.
Okay.
So your swabhava is literally your self-being, and therefore one's nature. So how have I translated swabhava? Here we are. So swabhava, self-being, self-nature, one's own being. So that which one is in oneself.
But it's the bu root conjugated into bhava.
It is at bu root. What happens is that you've got the. Let me call up iPad again. If I can get him to behave. Here we are. So we've got our root bhu. Which is the same root as becomes be in English. And it's in classical Greek pu, but in modern Greek which in English comes in for physics, physical. It's from that same root, that which is. And it makes actually two verbal nouns. We have bhava and bhava. So both of these are verbal nouns coming from bhu. There's a certain overlap between them, but there is a distinction between bhava and bhava. Generally speaking, bhava has more of a dynamic sense, becoming, coming into being, as we get, for example, in Pali, bhavatanha, thirst for being, craving for becoming. Either becoming again, rebirth, or becoming something different from what one is. Bhava is more of a static thing. These distinctions aren't absolute. It's just that you notice them in the literature. So bhava, dynamic, becoming, coming into a new state of being. Bhava tends to be more a state of being. For example, tunhi bhava, a silent state, a state of being silent. He wouldn't say tunhi bhava, but tunhi bhava. And one's swabhava is one's self being, and therefore one's nature.
So the most static one.
It's the more static one, though. Once we look at the words on their own, bhava and bhava, there I think the distinction is more sharply observed. When you put a prefix on swabhava, yeah, I think that is actually more static. It's the idea of what you are. It's nothing to do with becoming. The swabhava is more like, you're right, Paula, it is more of a static sense there.
Thank you.
Also in meditation, James, maybe, for instance, the title of the text, Bhavana Krama, the steps of static being meditation.
Is that the bhavana?
Bhavana.
Yeah. That has a slightly different origin. Because we've got bhu. I just want to make sure that I'm not misunderstanding your question. Are we talking about the meaning of the word bhavana? That one, yeah. Actually, what that is from, we've got the verb bhu bhavati, the ordinary to be and is. We've also got the class 10, the causative one, which is bhavayati. Bhavayati, literally to bring into being or to cause to be. And that's the one that in Pali we frequently see as bhaveti. Often from verbs ending in ayati in Sanskrit, we'll have eti in Pali. So it's from this bhavayati or bhaveti that we have a new verbal noun, bhavana. So it's this bhavana is actually the verbal noun from the causative, the class 10 causative verb. And the essential meaning of it is to either to bring something into being, to cause it to exist, something that did not exist before, you are creating it, you are making it exist. It also equally has the meaning of enhancing the being of something that already exists, making it more. And that's why the word bhavana is used certainly in Theravada Buddhism as meaning one's practice, one's spiritual practice. It's translated sometimes there as cultivation. You are helping a plant to grow. You're helping your own practice to grow. So what was the title of the word that of the work that you mentioned, Marco?
Bhavana Krama. I think it's you gave the perfect answer. I was wrong. Nothing to do with Bhava, but it's about
Okay, so it's from the same root. Now, is it Bhavana Krama? Krama meaning steps. So the Bhavana Krama would mean the steps that you take in your practice, in your spiritual development. So, can you tell us anything about that work, Marco? I don't think I've heard the. Is it the name of a Buddhist text?
Yes. I think I don't remember the author, but it's one of the most celebrated texts about meditation. It
Okay,
explains how to produce bodhicitta, how to progress in the meditation through vipassana and shamatha.
right. So within which tradition, do you know, was this work written?
I think it was written in Nalanda University,
Okay, right. Okay.
and the author, the yogi Kamala Shila, 9th century,
Okay.
Nalanda.
Kamala Sheila of Nalanda. Thanks very much. I'll actually follow that up.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Kamala Sheila. Incidentally, this word Sheila, which in Pali we have as Sila, it's often translated as virtue, and then they have the 5 virtues, for example, the Panchasilani, or just the Panchasila in Pali. The original, and I'm sure most of you will know, or all of you will know this word Shila, meaning virtue, Sila. The original meaning of the word in Sanskrit actually is just it doesn't specifically mean virtue. It means one's characteristic conduct. And when used on its own, it came to mean virtue. But as the second member of a compound, it just means having the characteristic of something. So, for example,
How is it spelled, James?
okay, let me so Shila, and in Pali, just as you'd expect, Sila. So means characteristic conduct, but used on its own, it has come to mean, especially in Pali, virtue. However, remember that as the second member of a compound, it can mean having the characteristic of doing something. So, for example, if you were Dhanashila, it means you have the characteristic of giving, of being generous. So this would be a Bahuvrihi compound, one who has the characteristic of being generous. The first time I saw, because the opposite, papa, sin, evil. So when I first saw the word papa shila, I thought that, hang on, does that mean evil and good? Or is it an oxymoron, a contradiction in terms? No, because in Papa Shila, Shila here has the meaning of having the characteristic of something. So a person who is characteristically evil would be Papa Shila. He has the characteristic of Papa. So in this context, it's nothing to do with virtue. So just remember that. Basic meaning, characteristic, extended meaning used on its own, virtue, but when used in a compound will still have that characteristic meaning of characteristic, like Papa Shila.
So what would karma shila mean then? The author of that.
Oh, sorry, Kamala Shila.
Yes, exactly. Sorry.
Okay, I suspect it because Kamala now, means a lotus. So Kamalashila meaning, I imagine that would mean, here I think it has the meaning of virtue. So I mean, I'd just like to invite Marco's comment here, but I interpret that as meaning somebody whose Shila, whose virtue is as beautiful as a lotus. Lotus virtue, your virtue is as beautiful as a lotus. So what's your take on that, Marco?
Yes, I agree. I think
Okay.
untouched by the negativities you encounter in life, like the lotus in the mud.
Ah, of course, yes. I hadn't thought of that extra thing. So not only as beautiful as a lotus, but the old, the Hindu imagery and indeed Buddhist, the lotus starts life in the mud, grows up and flowers beautiful above the water out of the mud. Yeah, so Kamalashila would have all that mean as beautiful as the lotus, and you've risen above the mud of our unregenerated nature.
May I be like the lotus to which water cannot cling.
I'm sorry, say again, Paladin?
But may I be like the lotus to which water cannot cling, acting like the sun and moon who remain steadfast and unimpeded in their course through the sky.
Ah, right, okay. So where's that quoted from?
It's from the Samantabhadracharya Pranidhana.
Okay, right.
Gandhaviyoga.
Right, thank you. So, where were we then? Right. Back to our, here we are. So I think that deals with the linguistic analysis of this verse. Before we go on to reciting, do we have any comments or queries? Then we can start. We'll just make a note here. See recitations. Right, so we'll do some recitations of this, and as usual, I'll just follow around in the order in which you appear in my gallery. And il primo è Marco. So could you recite first, Marco? Thank you.
Yeah.
So Marco, your camera is a little bit up. We can kind of see you from here
Sorry.
up. That's better. Good, thank you.
Karpanya
Okay.
doshopahata swabhavaha prachami tvam dharma samudachetaha yat shreya syata nishitam bruhitadme shishaste aham sadimam tvam prapannam.
Oh, Marco, thank you very much, but you were chanting that without the sandhi.
Sorry,
Oh.
I read the wrong
That was
line.
perfect if you were giving a grammatical analysis, but for the chant, we have to include the full sandhi.
Yeah. Karpanya doshopahata swabhavaha prachami tvam dharma samudachetaha yashreyasyannishitam bruhitanme shishaste hamsadimam tvam prapannam.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Marco. That was perfect. From Italy to Sri Lanka, now Delhi, may we hear you.
कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसमुदचेता यच्छ्रेयः स्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां प्रपन्नम्.
So can you please say Shatimam Twam Prapannam?
Yeah, mam tvam prapannam, sorry. Mam tvam prapannam.
So Shadimam Tvam Prapannam.
Prapannam. Shadimam Tvam Prapannam.
That was perfect. That was perfect. Can you just remind us, still? I know you've been a student of Pali for a very long time, but when did you start Sanskrit?
Sanskrit I started in South Africa some time back, but
Oh,
Pali I didn't. And I'm really enjoying Pali now because I put my own meaning sometimes because it's similar to Sinhala.
indeed.
But
I mean,
now,
so many of the Pali words you are actually using in modern Sinhala,
yes,
as we've had the advantage of hearing, further
yeah,
back in the past from Shriya Nimala. So, I mean, so many of these Pali words you're using as part of your modern speech.
yes. And also the word Shishya, we use all the time for a student or a
Ah, you
pupil.
use that as your normal word in Sinhala, do you?
Yeah, we have
Oh,
it in Sinhala, Shishya. Shishya is a girl, Shishyaya is a boy.
okay, right, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so it seems so. Although we've got the very strong Theravada Buddhist influence with this predominantly Pali direction, it seems that in you also use a lot of words in their pure Sanskrit form in Sinhala. I mean, Shishya is
Yeah,
is it, you're using that in its pure Sanskrit form.
yeah,
Oh,
we do. We do a lot of Sanskrit words plus Pali words in Sinhala.
yeah. Mm. Oh. You have an advantage, both of
Yeah, we
you.
have an
You have an
advantage.
advantage over us. You've got so much of the language as part of
Yeah,
your modern
yeah,
native language.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you, Dilip.
Thank you.
Um, yes, Julian, do you feel inclined to give us a recitation of this verse?
Hi, James.
Hi,
Yes,
Julian.
yes, I can have a try.
Please do.
Karpanya doso pahata sapava prachami tam dharma samuda setta
Remember,
yat
cheta, samudit cheta.
samuda setta
Cheta.
chitta
That's it. Yeah.
Yat Sreya Syat Nisitam Bruhi Tatme Sisyaste Aham Sadimam Tam Prapanam
Tvam prapannam.
Prapanam.
Actually, there you were reading from the
I ended up going down there,
you ended going
James.
up to where we'd taken out the Sandhi.
Yes.
But
Did we take out the Santi from there?
so what happens? What I've done is that this box here, immediately
Mm,
on where I've highlighted, that one exactly reflects the way that the Devanagari is written.
yes.
The next box down reflects the Devanagari, but with some bits I put in to help the students, like the hyphen there. See,
Mm,
because Karpanya dosho pahata swabhavaha is written all as one word in the Devanagari script, but I've hyphenated it, Karpanya dosho pahata swabhavaha, so that's just, it's the same, but with aids for students to give the word division.
mm.
The 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 Sandhi is there, and it's down here that I've taken out the Sandhi,
Yes.
just so that you can
Oh, yes.
yeah,
Sis, yes.
to help you analyze the words in their original form. That was a very interesting chanting style that you had. It almost reminded me, back in my school days at a Benedictine monastery school, like a little bit like the Gregorian plain chanter. So I like it. So that's the Julian's new style of chanting. I did enjoy
Yes.
that, Julian. Thanks, thanks, Julian. Barry, would you like to come in, please?
Yes, I'll have a try. Karpanya dushopahata svabhava prachami tvam dharma samudha chetaha yachreya sya nichitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shade mam tvam prapannam.
That was done very, very accurately with some. Can you just say nishitam again?
Nishitam.
Nishitam. It's a sh. For some, so the way you pronounce it was more like a s, nischitam. However, um, in many cases, in hearing Brahmanical chanting, the sound that I would normally have preferred and expected to hear pronounced as a nishchita, often you hear it more of a nishchita, which surprises me slightly. So, Marco, do you have any input on that? How would a Brahmin, do you think, chant nishchitam? And I think I've heard nishchitam and nischitam.
I would say Nishitan, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would prefer to go along with you. And I think nishchitam, you could say, is more correct because it is distinctly a sh sound. It's just in certain circumstances, some people, even quite learned Brahmins, tend to mutate into a s sound. But I think to be on the safe side, I would stay on the same side as Marco here, nishchitam. Okay, very good, thank you. And Madeline, we're round to you.
Yes. Karpanya dosho pahatasva bhava prachami tvam dharma samudha chetaha yachreya syanishchitam bruhi tanme shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam.
Very good, Miss Madeline. Did you all notice that Madeline very carefully observed this chanting rule, that where you have a visarga at the end of a line, you pronounce a shadow vowel after it. Samudachetaha. This we discussed it last time, whether it
Yes.
existed in ancient times, and Marco gave some valuable input on that. Doubtful and probably not. Do I quote you correctly, Marco, that in ancient times probably no shadow vowel? That's a later feature of the language. But Madeline was very careful not to put the shadow vowel here because in the middle of a line, you only have the shadow vowel at the end of a sentence or at the end of a line of verse. So Madeline correctly pronounced Subhava Prichami. Subhava Prichami, not Subhavaha Prichami. And here again the same, Yachreya Syan, which Madeline pronounced correctly, not Yachreya Syan. So thank you, Madeline.
Thank you.
That was correct. Lucy, we're round to you, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Karpanya doshupahata svabhava prichami dvam dharma samudachetaha yachreya syan nishchitam brui tan me shisyaste ham shadi mam dvam pranamam.
Tvam prapannam.
Dvam pranamam. Dvam prapanam.
Prapannam, yes. But so you didn't seem quite to want to say twam. Twam prapannam.
Dvam prapanam.
Okay, right. Also, is bruhi. So, of course, in French you wouldn't do it, but we have an H here in between two vowels. It is very distinctly pronounced as a h, bruhi, bruhi.
Yeah.
Yes, you can't just ignore it as you would in a similar case in French. It's bruhi. You have to give it its full value. So can you just say bruhitanme?
Bruhitanme.
That's it. That's very good. Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you.
You are all making good progress and cheering me up as a teacher. So, Anne, we're round to you.
Parpanya dosho pahata svabhava prichami tvam dharma samudha chetaha yatreya syanichitam bruhi tanme shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapanam.
That was very good indeed. Save that those. I think you pronounced that rather short. On its own, the word is chetas or chetaha, but here, because it becomes a masculine nominative, you do like chetaha, chetaha.
Chetaha.
Chetaha. Yeah, exactly so. Good. Thank you, Anne. Shri Animala, please. Oh, you're still muted, Shri Animala. There we are.
Because it's very difficult for me, this one looks like. Kalpanya dosho pahat swabhavah prachami tvam dharmas samuddate cheta jaccherlasya nishchitam brohitam me tanme shishyate ham sadi mam tvam prapannam.
Can you just say yat shreyasyanishchitam? So again, I think something went wrong with the sound.
Nishchitam brohitanme.
Nishchitam. Would you use that word in Sinhala too? Do you have a nishchaya, nishchita?
Yes, sir. We use that word, sir. Nishchita.
So how would you pronounce it in pure Sinhala if you were speaking pure Sinhala?
Nishchita.
Sorry?
Nishchita.
Nishchita.
Yeah, and if you are not sure, nishchita is like you are sure. Avinishchita is you are not sure.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay, nishchita, anishchita. So it has pretty much the same meaning then as it has in the Bhagavad Gita. So in other words, here it means tell me with certainty, so in a way that you feel sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Avinishchita is uncertain.
Yeah.
So anishchita.
Avinishchita.
Okay. Avinishchita. Okay.
Yeah.
Because this would be here we've got nishchita. You can also have vinishchita.
Yes.
Also exists in the meaning of certainty. So I'm happy to hear that you still now say, even in modern Sinhala, avinishchita, uncertain.
Yes.
We're hearing from your lips. We're hearing pure Sanskrit from 2,500 years ago. If you say avinishchita, yeah. Just exploit this advantage that you have, Dili and Nimala. So some of these words we're seeing in the Bhagavad Gita, you're using in your ordinary speech.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, Chris, we're round to you. Chris, you probably have less of the advantage that in your ordinary everyday speech, it doesn't have the sprinkling of pure Sanskrit words. As Dilly and Shri Animala have, nevertheless, you do your best for us, Chris.
Well, that makes me feel a whole lot better, James. There we go. Kapanya dosopahata swabhavanaha prachami tvam dharma samutta chetana yakshay yasyan nishchitam bruhi tanme shishasteham shadi mam tvam papanam.
Okay, very good. In fact, you corrected yourself there. I was about to correct you, but you spotted it.
Yeah.
When you said shishaste hum, it would necessarily flow in the Sanskrit because there's the sandhi, te aham, te hum. So initially you made a pause there,
Yeah.
which sounded wrong, but no, credit to you, you spotted it immediately and went back and corrected it.
Yeah, it's interesting that continuous repetition. I've been practicing this obviously this morning, but once after about 7 times, it does start to come. 7 repetitions.
Well, I mean, it seemed evident to me that I was thinking, hang on, this man has been practicing this. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're such a very good group of students. Some of our speakers. It's I feel a bit of an obligation, to try and keep up.
And you are fulfilling it. So credit to you. There's one thing. Can you just pronounce this word on its own? Dosho pahata. Dosho pahata.
Dosho pahata.
Right. That was correct. Now, if you split that word up, it's dosha upahata. Dosha means a fault or a vice. Upahata, beaten up, literally. So say dosho pahata. Upahata. So say it once more, dosho pahata.
Dosho pahata.
That was perfect. That was very good. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, James. Can you just the little hat that you've got over the O in the?
Yes.
Can you remind me of the significance of that?
The significance of that is you see it is not here in the first box, which directly reflects the Devanagari. The hat, or the linguists would refer to it as the circumflex accent, is simply an indication that this is a merger by sandhi of 2 vowels.
Oh, okay.
So dosha, if you look at the O of dosha, let me just expand this a little.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Dosha on its own, that's not a merger of 2 vowels. It's naturally there to start with. So
Yes. Yeah.
I could even have put dosha upahata there. So because the dosha, the au merges by sandhi to o, the circumflex, which I say is not reflected in the Devanagari script, is simply put there as an additional aid to students to remind you that the o is caused by the merger of two vowels.
Oh, yes. That's very good. Thank you.
And if you look here, again, this is the dosho pahata there that I'm dosho pahata, this sho there, that there's no indication in the Devanagari script that it's a merger of two vowels. That's why I haven't shown it in the first box, which exactly reflects the Devanagari script, but I do show it in the second Latin box, which has more aids for the students.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Okay, right then, Chris. Paladin, we're round to you.
So that's Prachami Twaram Dharma Sam Tachetaha Yetreya Nishchitam Bruhitam Shishyasteham Sadhimam Tvam Prapannam.
Okay, that came out very nicely. But can you just say now with complete fluency, Shishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam?
Possibly, I'll give it a go.
Shishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam.
Shishyasteham Sadhimam Tvam Prapannam.
You see, that came out much more fluently and with the feeling. Thank you, Paladin. Okay, we've gone over 3. I guess we can just finish off with the recitations if you're all right with that. So we just have Kath and Sanyu to go. So Kath, can you come in, please?
Karpanyadoshopahatasvabhava pruchami tvam dharma samudhachita yatreyasya nishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shadhiman tvam prapannam.
That was fantastic, Kath. I mean, that came out really tunefully. Really tunefully. Is that the Brahmanical style that you have learned?
I was just my training was just in Vedic chanting.
Okay, right, yeah.
And this isn't Vedic.
No.
So that, yeah, I suppose there are some little differences which I don't really know about.
But in fact, it was certainly more tuneful than the Vedas.
Yeah, there's all different. I love the tunes in the Vedas. There's all sorts of really beautiful little tunes.
Oh.
Whereas with the Gita, apart from, I mean, there's some verses like this one where I think there's 11 syllables, isn't there, per pada here instead of 8. So it's a different tune.
Yes. That's right. There are 4 groups of 11 syllables. Yeah.
But in the Vedic, there's no sort of patterns as such. You know, whereas in you can go through chanting the Gita on the same tune, really. Apart from, you know, there's variations when the lines are a different length.
Yes, yeah. Because this is, in fact, these are most lines in the Gita, well, as you know, just aren't as long as this. It's normally the Anushtub.
The shlokas.
The shlokas, yeah. Okay, thank you, Kath. By the way, this Vedic chanting, because there's such precise rules in the exact way that the Vedas must be done. It's probably a very good training to have. A bit like the kind of commando training, it really toughens you up the easier stuff. So wonderful. So we can wind up then with Sanyu, if you would like to come in, please.
Karpanya dosho bhattaswa bhava prachami tvam dharma samudachetaha yachreyaha sayanishchitam bruhi tamme okay. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam.
Okay, that was very nice. Can you just, with fluency, say Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam?
Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam.
That was very good. Thank you, Sanyu. Notice in this word here, it so happens that we have all 3 forms of the Sanskrit sibilant in one word. We've got initially the sh one with the slash over it, that's the palatal one, where the sh, it comes out of, if you say j, now the sh there comes out of the same position of the tongue. Now the next sh is the retroflex one, the one with the dot under. And if you say it comes out the same where the tongue is for the slightly bent back. That's why it's called retroflex, bent back. It comes a shishya, and then this final there before a t. So it's a shishyaste. You've got a bit of a tongue twister. You've got all 3 sibilants close together, all in the same word. If you can't get it exactly right, don't matter, because it doesn't matter too much. Because, for example, in modern Hindi, they have lost the distinction between the sh and sh, and they tend not to make that distinction. In modern Hindi, for example, in the same place, Urdu, the Punjabi, and the other languages in northern India, they still very carefully distinguish between the dental th and the retroflex da, da, da. And they're very distinct sounds for the speakers in India. Whereas in many parts of India, the distinction that used to exist, or still does technically in Sanskrit, between sh and sh, has tended to become blurred in modern speech. So anyway, there we are. We've gone to 3:10, just gone. So I will thank you all very much for joining me and wish you well.
Thank you,
And
James.
hopefully see you in a week's time.
Thank you,
Yes.
Thank you,
James.
James.
Thank you,
Okay.
James.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very
James.
much.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
James. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.